Hello and welcome to my video. My name's Jason from Jason Pinder Plumbing and Heating in Sheffield, and I just thought I'd make a short video to show a few basic plumbing tools and a basic technique for joining two pieces of pipe together. So firstly, I'd just like to show the different types of fittings. There's a few different kinds of fittings you can get nowadays. These are the plastic push fit connectors. If you can see inside, there's a rubber ring and a grabber ring. These basically, you just lubricate them and you can just push them onto a piece of pipe and that will make a watertight seal. They're quite good, quite expensive compared to the normal fittings, but the pipe's cheaper, so it swings and roundabouts. Use these quite a lot. It's not a great idea to put them where they can't be seen, but you know, we do use them. Secondly, we have what's called compression fitting. That's this thing here. This is actually a boiler fix valve or a service valve. This actually isolates the water supply to a fitting, an appliance, to a ball valve or something like that. How these work, it comes apart like that. You have the valve itself, the fitting. Then inside you have an olive. There you go. You can see that. Looks like a ring, wedding ring. That then fits in there with a nut on the top. And what happens is you put that in the pipe. Put that in the pipe like so. So that's on the pipe there, look. So then what you have to do, you have to hold this with a spanner or a set of pipe grips, and then a spanner or pipe grips on there, and you tighten that up until the olive has crushed and grips onto the pipe. Now, if you're going to fit these, you have to be sure there's an arrow on them. I don't know if you can see that there. And the arrow denotes the flow of the water. So if the water's flowing that way to a ball valve, something like that, make sure the arrow flows the correct way to the way the water flows. Secondly, we have, or thirdly rather, we have copper fittings. Two different kinds here. These fittings here, these are called Yorkshire fittings. Inside these there's a swaged out area, you can just see that there, and inside there is a little ring of solder. Now what that means is, when you actually join in the pieces of pipe together, you obviously clean and flux, which I'll demonstrate later. That goes on the pipe like so. You heat it up with your blow lamp and the solder melts and forms a seal. You don't have to add any other solder to that. These are the normal ones that I tend to use the most. This is a capillary fitting. Well, they're both work by capillary attraction, but this is an end feed fitting. There's no solder at all in this. You have to physically add the solder yourself. Goes on like that. You apply heat, flux and solder it together, which I'll demonstrate later. So before you can do any kind of fittings on pipes, you're going to need a few basic tools. So firstly, you'll need something to cut your pipe with. These are mainly the kind of thing that I use. These are just pipe slicers. These are 15mm. You have to buy a size for the size of pipe you're cutting. So 15mm cutters, 15mm pipe. If you've got 22mm pipe, you'll need 22mm cutters. You can buy ones that are just to different sizes. These are the most convenient because you can use them in confined spaces. It basically just clips on the pipe like so. You turn it eventually and you cut your pipe. Also, if you're going to be using any sort of copper fittings, the traditional kind of jointing method, you're going to need to clean your pipe. You don't really want to go sweating pipes up together with the pipe in this sort of tarnished condition. The flux that we use nowadays, which is this, This is Laco self-cleaning flux, which is like, it's very acidic. It will clean the pipe to some extent, but you're better off using a device like this. So that just goes on there like that. Turn it a few times. And as you can see, that's lovely and shiny and clean. Same goes for the fittings. These things, they can be grubby and kicking about in the van, they're all in a bit of a state. Clean them before you use them. Same tool, these are only a few pounds. It's got ends on there. Put that in there, give it a good turn. As you can see, or hopefully you can see, that should be quite a bit cleaner inside now. So that's that. So you'll need some method of heating the pipe and fittings. So basically for that, use a blow lamp. Pretty much standard thing. The ends here, this is a Monument one, they're quite expensive. Probably looking at £60–70. The bottles of gas are disposable. Once it's run out, it just goes in the bin. Quite cheap, £4 or £5 for a bottle of gas. So you basically, that's just sulphate night. That's that. As I briefly mentioned before, you also need some flux to help the solder run. This is Laco self-cleaning flux. You can get Yorkshire flux that you don't have to, that isn't self-cleaning, so you will have to clean the fittings a lot more. I still always like to clean the fittings before you use any sort of flux on them. It just makes for a better job and a cleaner joint. Secondly, fourthly, I forget where I am. If you're using this kind of fitting, this has solder already in it. You don't need any more solder. If you're using this kind of fitting, the end feed one, you can see there's nothing in there. You have to add the solder yourself. Two kinds of solder, very important. One, this one, has lead in it. So this is not to be used on any water that will be drank. Any drinking water, hot or cold water, anything at all, do not use leaded solder. The solder in these fittings is lead free, so that's fine. This leaded solder is mainly what you use for heating pipe work, things like that. Things that's never going to come into contact with it for human consumption, that's fine. If it is, don't use leaded solder. We have lead-free solder. This is lead-free solder. If you can see that, there you go. It comes on a roll just like that. It's just like soft wire. Unroll it. There it is. Like I said, this fitting has lead-free solder already in it. But if you're using the end feed, you have to make sure you use the correct solder. Lead-free. If it's going to be in drinking water, bathing water, anything like that, lead free. Heating, pipe work, where there's going to be no human contact, leaded's fine. But, you know, if you're just going to buy one, buy lead free and then you can use that on everything. It's a lot safer. You don't want lead in your water. It's not good for you. Lastly, another nice little tool if you're going to be doing any soldering or applying any heat to anything around any flammable areas. Heat-proof mat. Sometimes they call them an asbestos mat, but obviously there's no asbestos in them nowadays. So it's just a heat-proof mat. They're quite reasonable, maybe 10 to 20 pounds. This is just a basic one. You can get posh ones that have a hole in the wraparound system so you can enter a piece of pipe through it and protect what you're soldering. Very good idea if you're going to be doing a bit of soldering. Also, you'll need a rag, quite handy, wipe the solder off, and lastly, which is also a good idea, a drink. Right, so now we'll move on to the soldering. So, first thing you want to do, get your piece of pipe, make sure it's clean. nice and clean that. This is the piece we're going to join onto it. Also make sure that's nice and clean. So that's quite clean. And for this demonstration we're going to use an end feed fitting, which is that. Possibly the cheapest of all the methods of joining a piece of pipe. This is a socket. You can get all different ones. You can get sockets, you can get T's if you need to take a T out. You can also get an elbow if you need to turn a 90 degree. But this is just a socket. So say for example you've got a hole in the pipe, you could cut where the hole is, and then that will allow you to join that back together. So we've cleaned this pipe, cleaned this fitting. And now we're going to apply the flux. Small brush, you don't need massive amounts of flux, but apply it evenly inside both ends. Pipe, apply it on your pipe, and insert it like that. Okay. Same on the other piece, just clean, small amount of flux, it's inside the fitting, and there you go, it's fluxed. It's now ready for soldering. So I just place that on there, and I'll just put my foot on it to keep it. Hope you can see that. Let's just move that slightly. Ooh, where are we? There we go. So there's the fitting. Piece pipe, fitting. Flux inside and out. So next we're going to take this blowtorch. And a solder. Apply heat to the fitting. Wait for the flux to start bubbling. And then apply our solder. Don't need to go too mad with the solder, but you need to obviously make sure that the fitting has run. So basically that's now soldered. Now it'll be quite delicate, so you don't want to touch it until it's cooled down considerably. Generally leave it just to cool. I tend to flick the solder bits off with a flux brush, but it's not necessary. We take a cloth. Give it a really good wipe. It's very important that you clean all the residue and then the excess flux off, because it is an acid and it will continue to attack the pipe. So once that's cooled, you can see that it's not the neatest one I've ever done, but there you go. The solder has run all the way around, forming a watertight joint. There you go. So there you have it. That's just a very basic demonstration of how to join two pieces of pipe together using a blowtorch and flux and solder. Please, please, please don't attempt to work on any gas pipes. Please contact a registered gas safe plumber, and also please be aware of any health and safety issues that could be in work. You're using hot, blowtorches, fire, so please be careful. If in any sort of doubt whatsoever, contact a professional plumber like myself. Hope that's been of some use. Maybe I'll make some more videos. This is the first one I've done and it's been kind of slightly nerve-wracking, but thanks for looking. Thank you very much. This is Jason from Pinder Plumbing and Heating, Sheffield. Thank you.